welcome you all to the final webcast in our series designed to support preschool students during NTI. On the title slide, you'll notice the QR code is there, along with the Go Soapbox link access code. If you have questions about the content that's being provided, or if you have questions specifically about preschool programming, please go ahead and submit those questions there. We ask that all participants please mute your microphone as well as turn off your camera to allow for more bandwidth for the presentation. While I'm giving you a couple of minutes to go ahead and scan that QR code and get that access code in, I just want to take a moment to thank our regional training centers for all of their work to develop these webcasts and their continued dedication to support our districts across the Commonwealth. And I'd also like to thank you, the participants who have joined us each week and who are utilizing these resources to support your students. I just want to thank you very much for all that you're doing in these uncertain times and your continued dedication to student improvement. All right, I am going to turn it over to Jamie Lester, who will start our presentation.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome, as Veronica said, to the 6th and final webinar training of Integrated Non-Traditional Instruction for Families of Preschool Students. Today's webinar features a series of books that include Pete the Cat, and we hope that you have enjoyed and coordinators have had an opportunity to share all of these recorded webinar sessions. There's a couple of ways you can get to those recorded sessions. First of all, in the email that Andrea Bartholomew sent us for the team meeting this last week, there's a link to the KDE website. If you can't find that, you can just go to KDE under Early Childhood and RTC Resources page. We do want to let you know that we'll probably go a few minutes over 30 this morning. If you have to jump off at the end of the meeting, we understand. And you can join back where you left off in the recorded link on the KDE page, but we hope you can stay with us. We do have a lot of resources for you today, and it's all things you'll be able to use and share with your families. Presenting for us today is April McNaughton. April is the director of the Simpson RTC, and also Stacy Stevens and myself. I'm Jamie Lester, and we're from Ashland RTC, so we're happy to be here with you this morning. And without any further ado, I'll let April go ahead and take it away.
Pete the Cat is a unique character, unlike any other cat you'll come across in children's literature. The narrator who introduces Pete and talks about him emphasizes how well Pete responds to life situations. Pete the Cat is a laid-back, wacky-looking blue cat whose motto seems to be, "It's all good." Whether it's a new situation, a loss of something, or a problem, in the Pete the Cat picture books, Pete doesn't get upset. Pete sings a cheerful song through every situation, and everything always turns out fine because of his attitude. Above you, you will find a link to the Pete the Cat website. This website contains videos, songs, book lists, activities, and etc. So let's get started on our exciting week with Pete the Cat. Pete the Cat, I Love My White Shoes was the first and best-selling book in the beloved Pete the Cat series. Pete the Cat goes walking down the street wearing his brand new white shoes. Along the way, his shoes change from white to red to blue to brown to wet as he steps in piles of strawberries, blueberries, and other big messes. But no matter what color his shoes are, Pete keeps moving and grooving and singing his song because it's all good. Pete the Cat, I Love My White Shoes, asks the reader questions about the colors of different foods and objects. Kids love to interact with the story. At the top of the screen, you will also see two different links, one for the read aloud of Pete the Cat and an animated format of the read aloud. Pete the Cat's shoes change color when he steps in different things throughout the book. Allow your child to take this time to create and discover what happens when colors mix and when water is added onto the coffee filter or paper towel. There are many activities that can be done with shoes and math. However, we will only look at 2 possibilities today. Walk through a puddle and make wet footprints on your driveway. See what kind of patterns you can make with your feet. Invite family members to join you and make new and improved patterns. Gather a pair of shoes or 2 from each member of the family. Make sets of shoes or sort by color, pattern, or other common characteristics. See how many different sets you can make with your shoes. If you would like to share what your child has accomplished, simply snap a shot or make a video. We all know kids love to view themselves on our phone. Prediction or cause and effect are great ways for children to discover and learn. A great activity is to share with children that one thing you love about Pete in this story is that he is always content, no matter what happens. He finds a way to be happy with what he has. Throughout this story, Pete the cat does some silly things that makes his shoes change color. Encourage your child to predict or guess what the outcome will be. Example, when Pete steps in blueberries, ask the question, what do you think is going to happen? You could always take it one step further and brainstorm other things Pete might step in and predict what would happen to the shoes. Write your own version of the story. Kids love to move and groove. Use this book to do just that. Make up a dance when Pete walks down the road and participate with your child. Or you could simply view the link below and do the emotions dance with Abby from Sesame Street. What kid doesn't like to race or run fast? Allow your child to try out different types of shoes and see which one they can run the fastest in. Time them on your phone and record each time. Discuss which shoes he or she runs fastest in. Ask, why do you think you ran faster in these? Why did these shoes slow you down? And what was challenging about running in these? Write down your child's explanations to your questions. Also, remember it's never too early to start learning to tie your shoes. We have included 2 great videos that you and your child can view. Each video has a different method. One may work better for your child than the other. Pete the cat is about resilience, or the ability to keep going when things are tough. Sometimes children and adults have difficulty with unexpected change. Pete faces the challenge of each new color change with resilience. Use the following questions to lead a discussion about resilience. Does Pete cry because his shoes are now red instead of white, or wet instead of dry? Goodness, no, he keeps on dancing down the road. Point out when children are resilient and model taking things in stride with your child. Children also love to hear stories about their parents, and we know that we all feel like crying or becoming upset sometimes. Share stories of what makes you upset. What makes you feel better? Model for the children deep breathing as a coping strategy. Talk about how this can help the children to relax, just like Pete. Pete also keeps walking. Sometimes taking a walk can be a calming activity. We have included a link and a graphic to belly breathing for you to work on with your child or yourself. I know I use it.
The book that we'll be using for Tuesday is Pete the Cat and the Itsy Bitsy Spider. This story takes a spin on the classic song to include friends working together to problem solve a solution for the spider. The included YouTube link will take you to a read aloud of the book. Of course, there are other options available on the internet, so feel free to search for different ones. Let's look first at exploring the story. If you've accessed previous webinars, you will have heard the term dialogic reading. We've included suggestions based on that to facilitate positive interactive reading experiences with your child. The crowd prompts on the right will guide you through engaging questions and comments to assist you in creating a meaningful reading experience. Please note that while the prompts include examples, they are not all inclusive. Feel free to be creative in your comments and questions in order to individualize it for your child. Let's explore some art activities. You may choose to do any or all of these activities. Remember, art is an expression of creativity. Do not be concerned with what the finished product looks like. Focus more on the process. Encourage your child to be creative. The first option is how to draw a spider. Examples are included, but you can do this however you want using whatever medium you choose. Encourage your child to add as many details as possible. You can document this by taking a snapshot or a work sample or a video of the child creating it and send it to your child's teacher. A second option is creating spiders using thumbprints, fingerprints, or handprints. Feel free to use any kind of paper or surface that you have available. If you don't have any paint or a stamp pad, we've included options for creating one or using alternative materials. You can incorporate math into your art activity by having the child count the legs to make sure that there's 8 legs on every spider they create. You can also have them count how many spiders they put on the paper and create. The third option for art is making a spider sculpture. Use any materials you have on hand. If you choose to make one out of dough and you don't have any store-bought dough available, we've included 3 different recipes for making dough at home. In my personal experience, homemade dough always lasts longer and is easier to work with than the store-bought dough. So there's 3 different options there. We know that you always don't have these materials on hand, so we tried to add some different recipes so you would be able to create some dough based on what you have at your house. For math, we will look at focusing on sets of 8. For this activity, you can use any objects you have in your house or collect objects from outside. So you can gather 8 objects of your choice. You can use spoons, socks, cotton balls, Fruit Loops, Matchbox cars, stuffed animals. You can go outside and pick up rocks, or you can use pine cones or leaves, whatever you can get your hands on. You need 8 of those. You're going to count the objects, and you can write the numeral 8, or if your child is developmentally ready to write it, you can have your child write the 8. Encourage your child to think of the different ways you can make 8. So they're going to separate the materials in various ways. Each time you're going to count the objects. Write the numerals to represent the separated objects. Point out that regardless of how the items are divided, the quantity does not change. It always makes 8. If you need to reduce the number for your child to be successful, that's fine. There may be times throughout any of these webinars or suggested activities that you will need to make changes depending on the developmental level of your child. This includes either simplifying something or making it more challenging as necessary. Moving on to science. You have 3 activities to choose from. You can choose any of them, or you can choose to do all 3 of them. So first, we're going to look at exploring webs. You're going to take a walk outside at early morning or at dusk. Spider webs are more easily seen at this time, so encourage your child to think about why that is. Observe and discuss what you see with each spider web. How are they alike? How are they different? What's the placement of them? Take some snapshots and refer back to those later so you can have some more discussions about them. Remember to respect nature and leave the spider webs intact. The next science activity is an experiment with the water cycle. If you'll remember in the story, down came the rain and washed the spider out. So we want to look at what makes rain. Before you begin, Click to read the background info on the water cycle. This will help you in explaining the process and asking guiding questions with your child. Click the arrow at the bottom left to go back to the experiment. The directions for the experiment are included. After the experiment, check understanding by encouraging your child to draw the water cycle and explain the process using new vocabulary words. You might also choose to do the third science experiment, which is comparing and contrasting with your child. Many children consider anything that crawls or slithers a bug. This activity encourages your child to pay close attention to details. For example, insects and spiders both have jointed legs. However, an insect has only 6 and a spider has 8. An insect has 3 body parts while a spider only has 2. Both insects and spiders have an exoskeleton. Encourage your child to use descriptive words when talking about each. For the physical activity or gross motor, we've included an article about the many benefits of using yoga with children. It's also good for adults. The pose pictured is called cat and cow. This stretches the back while providing an opportunity for deep breathing. For social emotional, let's talk about kindness. In the story, the animals were so kind to help the spider solve his problem. Talk to your child about kindness. Maybe make a paper chain and on each strip write an act of kindness your family is able to do. Remember, even a simple smile directed towards someone is a grand act. Take time to create the chain. Once you are finished, hang it somewhere for your family to see. Each day, or as you're able, remove a link and carry it out as a family. This music activity includes a link to sing along with Pete. Sing-alongs in the car are always fun too.
Pete the Cat's favorite shirt has 4 big, colorful, round, groovy buttons. Pete loves the buttons and likes to sing about them. When one of the buttons pops off, you'd think Pete would be upset, but not this cat. Did Pete cry? Goodness, no. Buttons come and buttons go. Pete just sings his song again, this time about his 3 buttons. He has the same reaction when another button pops off and he's down to 2 buttons, and then 1 button, then 0 buttons. Even when the last button pops off, Pete the cat doesn't get upset. Instead, he realizes he still has his belly button and happily begins to sing about that. The constant repetition as each button pops off and Pete the cat reacts to the loss means that your child will probably be chiming in before you get down to 0 and will happily help you tell the story again and again. Eating art can always be fun. Be creative with food. Allow your child to make their sandwich into a button. You can cut it out using a drinking glass or snack on the edges until it's round like a button. Believe it or not, most parents do not find as much joy in Play-Doh as our preschoolers. However, Play-Doh activities are a great way to help your child develop fine motor skills. Sensory-seeking children can squish, squash, and pound the Play-Doh to give themselves tactile feedback. Your child will use hand-eye coordination to cut, poke, and prod the Play-Doh, and when using cookie cutters in the dough. Manipulating Play-Doh helps to strengthen hand muscles and develop control over the fingers. Snipping Play-Doh sausages helps develop scissor cutting skills. 2 links have been included below. The first link discusses the benefits that we have discussed and many more on OT Mom, while the second link provides you with an easy Play-Doh recipe. Pete the Cat and his 4 groovy buttons is appealing for a number of reasons. It's a clever concept book that focuses on the numbers 1 to 4, subtraction and counting down. The illustrations prominently feature the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the words 1, 2, 3, and 4. The illustrations also introduce children, probably for the first time, to what a subtraction problem looks like. With lots of different colors on every page, children will have fun identifying different colors and objects for the reader sharing the book with them. Have the student count the buttons on Pete's shirt. Compare the number of buttons using words like more, fewer, most, and fewest. Or make Pete the cat props showing the different number of buttons on each shirt. Model retelling the story using the props and transition words, and have the student help retell the story. Children love to hear stories about their parents. And this is no different when we start to talk about music. As we mentioned earlier, music is fun for all preschoolers, and this book is no different. Encourage your child to get up and move to a song. The link below will direct you to a wonderful Pete the Cat sound-only track. However, as we've stated many times, any music can be used in these activities. We know that kids love to listen to the same music that we do. Of course, popping and bouncing buttons are fun all on its own, but you could make it into a family contest. Who could bounce their button the highest? Ask your children to predict which button will bounce the highest and why. Directions for making this activity can be found below. But what if you don't have pipe cleaners or fuzzy sticks? You can always find different types of buttons around the house and predict which will roll the furthest and why. There are tons and tons of great activities we can do to go along with Pete the Cat and his 4 groovy buttons. Take the fun outside if the weather permits. Use sidewalk chalk and draw buttons. Jump, skip, hop from button to button. Pete the Cat also has a surfboard in this book. Use a long plank or balance beam as a pretend surfboard. Practice balancing on it with 2 feet and then 1. But if you don't have a plank or a balance beam, that's no problem. Just draw a line on the sidewalk with sidewalk chalk. Draw a line with a stick in the dirt, or just simply try walking on a crack in the cement. Make paper plate buttons to work on fine motor skills. Punch or cut holes around the paper plate and allow your child to use yarn, string, or even shoelaces to lace through the holes. Also find articles of clothing and shoes with different fasteners, buttons, snaps, Velcro, string, and zippers. Practice with these fasteners. Children learn how to manipulate these fasteners not only helps to create self-esteem within your child and allows them to celebrate an accomplishment, it also helps them to become independent. All of these activities can be documented with your phone by taking a picture or just simply videoing it. Engage the student in conversation about the story. Ask the child to help make predictions about what will happen next, or think of a reason why a button might have popped off. Discuss why Pete didn't get upset when he lost his buttons. Ask the child if they have ever lost anything and discuss how it made them feel and why. Productions of words, phrases, and sentences encourage the student to describe what is happening in the illustrations of the story and jot down or video the child's responses for your teacher.
For our final book this week, we're going to look at Pete the Cat and the Perfect Pizza Party. Let's see how we can explore the story. Most importantly, have fun. As you read or listen to the story, pause on each page, ask questions, draw attention to pictures and details, make predictions, etc. Use the peer sequence, which is part of dialogic reading. Prompt the child to say something about the book. Evaluate the child's response, expand the child's response by rephrasing or adding information to it, and repeat the prompt to make sure the child has learned from the expansion. I've also included the crowd prompts like we saw on the previous slide with some suggestions for getting your child to interact with the story. The story has lots of rhyming words. Draw attention to the words that rhyme and encourage your child to come up with other rhyming words. Nonsense words count too. There's also a phonological piece to this story. All the pizza toppings start with P. So think of some other toppings that you can add to the pizza or some other words that begin with the P sound. We've included four art activities to choose from. Again, you can choose to do any of them or you can choose to do all of them. The first one we'll look at is designing a party invitation. Remember in the story, Pete created an invitation to invite his friends to the party. Encourage your child to do the same. This will take some brainstorming before you get started. So you're going to brainstorm what kind of party will you plan? What kind of activities will take place at your party? What food or snacks will you have? When you create the invitation, be sure to encourage your child to include lots of detailed pictures so guests will know what to bring and what to expect. Encourage your child with questions such as, what else do you need? And what might we add to the party? For an extension of this, as your child completes the invitation, ask him or her to describe it back to you. Write the words that go along with what they're saying, and after you write those words, read them back to your child. If your child's ready, encourage him or her to write the words independently. You can snap a photo of the finished picture and include the documentation and the dialogue that you've written and send it to your child's teacher. Another activity for art is homemade puffy paint. Use the ingredients and follow the directions to create a unique picture with your child. You can do a picture of something related to the story or just something that is interesting to your child. Another art activity is making a personal pizza. Think about all the unique toppings you might add to your pizza. Create a pizza collage to represent the things you like best. You can do this using old magazines, catalogs, junk mail, print pictures off the computer, and if you don't have access to any of these, just draw the pictures using markers or crayons or pencils, whatever you have. Using child-size scissors, cut out the pictures. Depending on your child's skill level, you may need to assist with the cutting. If your child is able, encourage him or her to do it independently, but under supervision. Adhere the pictures to a paper plate using glue, tape, whatever you have on hand. And if you don't have a paper plate, just draw a circle on a piece of paper to represent your own pizza. For documentation purposes, video your child. Take a snapshot of the finished collage. Send it to your child's teacher. Use the homemade Play-Doh recipe from earlier in the week to create your own pizza crust and toppings. As you create it, talk about shapes and colors as you sculpt. Count how many of each topping you add. We've included 3 math activities to choose from. Again, choose any or do them all. The first activity is called Dice and Slice. You can do this with 1 die or 2 dice from any board game. If you do not have any dice, use a cube-sized box and just make your own. You can have 1 player, 2 players, or your whole family can participate. You're going to cut a paper plate or a circle on a piece of paper into pizza slices. You can decorate them if you choose. You put all the pieces in the middle. You're going to cut them, put all the pieces in the middle, and each player takes turns rolling the die or the dice. Count the number of dots on it. Take that many pieces of pizza from the pile. Continue until all the pieces are gone. An extension of this, you can, when the game ends, each player counts their number of slices. Compare the quantities. Who has the most? Who has the least? How many slices would you have if you added 1 more, 2 more? You can continue as your child is able. Another option for a math activity is creating a favorite topping graph. The toppings that you choose to graph are up to you. Ask family, friends, or neighbors what their favorite topping is. Shade in the box for that topping. Count the shaded boxes and refer to the numeral on the chart to analyze. Another option for your math activity is a shape hunt. A shape hunt might be what your family chooses to do. Read the background knowledge. So A pizza is usually round and cut into triangles. However, it can be rectangular or cut into squares. For this activity, let's explore some shapes. Encourage your child to draw shapes on a piece of paper. Assist your child with drawing as needed. You can do this in your house or you can do this outside. Go on a shape hunt. As you see the shape, place a tally mark by that shape. When you are finished, count the number of tally marks for each shape. Write the number to represent the quantity. For an extension of this, you can talk about what shape you saw the most and the least. You can also talk about some 3D shapes that you see. For science, remember at the beginning of the story when Pete and his friends were in the pool. Draw attention to the inflatable rings or the pool floats that they're wearing. Discuss why they are wearing them in the pool. What are they used for? What is their purpose? Your experiment is going to be, does it sink or does it float? You can do this outside or you can do it inside. Fill a deep pan with water. If you don't have a deep pan, you can use a deep pot, you can use a bowl, you can do it in the bathtub, you can use a sink or a small kiddie pool. Gather a collection of objects such as a block, a pine cone, a rock, a sponge, a leaf, a ball, a cotton swab, a spoon, a toy, anything that you get your hands on. You want to get a good variety of objects. Make a prediction. Ask your child, do you think this will sink? Will it go to the bottom or will it float, stay on top of the water? Follow up with, why do you think that? Record your child's responses. Place the item in the water. What happens? Discuss the result with your child. Was the prediction accurate? Continue with all the objects. Once you've tested all the objects, discuss what the objects that floated have in common. What did the sinking objects have in common? Were there any objects that floated that you could make some changes to and cause to sink, or vice versa, and why? For physical development, in the story, Pete plans to play pin the tail on the unicorn at his party. The object of the game is to get the tail as close as possible to the designated spot. This activity is a variation of that game. In setting it up, you can use chalk to draw a large circle with smaller circles on the inside on the sidewalk, driveway, or side of a building. You'll also need to have an object to throw. You can use a ball, a beanbag, or you can roll up socks or use a stuffed animal. The object is to throw or toss the object, trying to get as close as possible to the center circle. A variation of this game, if you don't have chalk to draw a circle or you don't have a place to do this outside, you can do it inside with a laundry basket or you can use a large bowl. A math extension, you can add numbers to the circles or you can add numbers to different bowls, and as you throw the object, keep track of what number it lands near. Add those numbers together to create a score. In documenting this, take a video of your child throwing and send it to his or her teacher. For social emotional, we're talking about compromise. In this story, Pete planned the perfect pizza party. To him, the perfect pizza was pepperoni and cheese. In the story, everyone did not agree. Refer back to that story and ask what might have happened if Pete refused to compromise. How would the party have turned out differently? Talk about ways you have to compromise as a family. For example, deciding what board game to play, what movie to watch, what snack to have. Why is compromise important? Use the chart at the left to walk through the steps of compromise with your child as needed.
We finally get to Friday, and it's TGIF. Today is the day to wrap things up. Enjoy the activities included for today, and also go back and do your favorite activities again. Let your child choose a favorite book that they would like to reread. Let them try some of the activities that they didn't get to do earlier in the week, or redo some of the activities that they really enjoyed. Let them guide this portion of the day. Read more Pete the Cat books. You can visit the Pete the Cat website that was included at the beginning of this presentation. playing music and dancing is good for you physically and mentally. We all know this, so get up off the couch and do the Pete the Cat Boogie. The YouTube link provided will take you to that video. You can also choose your favorite song and make up a family dance as an extension of this Pete the Cat dance. Take a video of your family doing the dance and keep it as a keepsake. Replay it in times when you are maybe feeling sad or needing to recreate that fun time that you had with your child. Also, you can use your special dance to celebrate things in your family. Make it a whole family affair, not just with the child and the one parent. Review all the Pete the Cat stories that you have read this week, or any other Pete the Cat book that you have. This is an opportunity to do some comparing skills. Ask questions like, what do all of the stories have in common? How are the stories alike? And how are they different? How are the illustrations similar? How do the same characters appear in some of the books? Do the same characters appear in all of the books? Ask the child what was their favorite story and ask them to tell you why. What do you like most about Pete? And would you change the ending of any of these stories? And if the child wants to change them, then how would they change them? Have them tell you about what their ideas are. Encourage your child to read to you. Let them pick the book out. Gathering clues from illustrations is an important reading strategy. You can encourage reading skills by encouraging your child to read to you. Draw attention to the pictures on each page and allow your child to create and tell his or her own story. You can prompt your child by pointing out details and asking engaging questions like, what's happening next? And how do you know that? The video we're going to watch is of my granddaughter, Sutton. She's 4, going to be 5 in June, so she is a real preschool student. A couple of things when you watch the video, I want you to understand. She chose the location. We're sitting in her brother's room at the foot of a bunk bed in a chair. So we're not in an ideal situation. We're not in a perfect setting at a couch with a nice table in front of us. I'm trying to hold the camera and the book for her so she feels comfortable. I'm prompting her and encouraging her and reinforcing her throughout. And her confidence grows as she reads. So this video is about 3 minutes long. She does start out pretty slow at the beginning, as most children do, but pay attention to how her confidence grows. And you can also look at the video and how it's not a fantastic job, and that's okay too. So April, if you'll go ahead and play that. Sandwich. What's he thinking? Okay.
I look in the refrigerator. I know. How about I put a fish, bread, mustard, and a tomato.
He's making a sandwich.
My sandwich is too small for me to eat. I have an idea. How about I add an apple? My sandwich is still too small for me to eat. It needs crackers.
Silly.
I know. How about I put a pickle, some cheese, an egg, tomatoes, a banana, and peanuts. My sandwich is still too small for me to eat. How about I add some ice cream?
Ice cream?
My sandwich is too tall for me to eat.
it gonna be?
I know. How about I invite my friends?
What do you invite?
One dog, a cat, one cat, and two cats, and three cats, and four cats, and 5 cats.
5 cats and a dog.
Yeah. They ride on a skateboard, and another one rides on a skateboard, and the last one rides on a bike.
Where are they going?
To Pete's house.
To Pete's house.
They all eat together. They all eat together, and they munch up.
Munch up. Did you munch up today? No.
They all eat. Is that short?
Could be.
And say they are still gonna eat.
Yeah, they're still eating.
They all are full. They're full and they don't want to eat anymore.
Full and don't want to eat anymore.
Thanks for coming out, full.
Okay, so thanks. You can see how her confidence grew as she read throughout that, and some of the information she gave me was right and some of it was wrong, but that was all okay. That was her interpretation of the story. I'll tell you too, if you do this activity with your child, they're going to want to continue doing it. She wants to read a book every single time that I see her now, which is amazing. Sharing progress with your child's teacher. Some of the things that your child's teacher would like to see is their perseverance, the way that they attend to concentration, the way they hold their pencil grip, muscle control, understanding of new content and vocabulary if they're using those words correctly, their attention to detail, and if they're curious about things. Ways that you can document this is child's drawings, video clips of activities like dances or reading like we just showed, photographs of the child's projects or products, and then journal entries documenting progress. Remember, this is not about the product, but about the process. So as you're trying to capture information for your child's teacher, capture moments during the process. The finished product is not important, just the process of getting there. Another science activity that you could possibly do would be to discuss with your child the difference between a wild and a domestic cat, since the theme of the week has been Pete the Cat. Look at different kinds of cats, big and small, wild and domestic. Some things that you can talk about with your children is where does this type of cat live, even located on a map. Ask your child if this cat would make a good pet. Why would they or why would they not make a good pet? Ask what the cat likes to eat. And how would you take care of this kind of cat, whether you're talking about a wild one or domestic one? Discuss with your child that a cat is a mammal. Use that vocabulary and talk about what that means. You can use books, technology, videos, if you have a local vet, to gather some research to take to give to your children. You can also take a virtual field trip to many zoos to see the cats. And the YouTube link provided gives you just some basic information and education about the different types of cats, where they live, and things of that nature. So also seek out your local extension offices. Maybe if you have a zoo local or any other types of animal shelters, they will have information for families to use during this time. Well, that brings to an end our series of NTI support webinars, but please know it's not the end of your RTC's support. We are still here and we want to support you, so reach out. We enjoy getting to talk to you and we miss you. So if you will, please make sure that the webinars have been shared with your teachers. Once again, that link again is available in the email from Andrea or by looking on the KDE website, Early Childhood tab, and RTC resources page. Again, we thank you so much and we hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.
Thank you to all our presenters and to the participants. You know, this is the end of our first series of webcasts, but you know, if there are additional topics in the future that you may be interested in, we hope these have been helpful for you. Please reach out to your RTCs with ideas. You can also leave that feedback with that Go Soapbox QR code there if there's additional information you would like to see future webinars possibly on, please do that. Or you can reach out to our school readiness branch here at KDE. Again, thank you for all you do. Thank you to our RTCs, and have a great summer.